On this edition of Fulton at Work, upgrades and repairs the Government Center and Courthouse have desperately needed are now underway, and the construction of the long-awaited first-ever community center in Union City finally begins. I'm Daryl Carver. All that and more starts right now on Fulton at Work. On your next trip downtown, you're sure to notice the TLC, the Courthouse and Government Center, are now receiving. Both are receiving long overdue repairs and upgrades. FGTV's Brian Robeson has more on this story.
Whether you're serving on a jury, paying for a card tag, or receiving valuable hands-on legal experience, people of all ages visit the county courthouse and the government center on a daily basis. With their safety in mind, much-needed upgrades to both buildings have been addressed thanks to the Board of Commissioners' approval of $90 million in urban redevelopment bonds during the July recess meeting.
Motion seconded. Let's vote by show of hands.
Already underway is the extensive exterior restoration of the courthouse, which opened in 1914. Various weather elements and settling have made the repairs necessary.
Over time, the elements, wind, rain, the sun, even the natural settling of the building causes the stones to crack, the mortar and the caulking to deteriorate, and even some of the attachment devices to weaken. And accordingly, that justifies a new exterior restoration.
During the repair work, protection scaffolding will be in place for the next 3 years along the Martin Luther King Jr. Drive and Pryor Street sides of the courthouse. As for the over 30-year-old government center, with vital records and grants division renovations complete and renovations to the tax commissioner's office scheduled to wrap in August, the focus will turn towards the roof, atrium, and entrance doors in the fall. It'll be business as usual for both buildings during the upgrades process, but people are urged to use extra caution upon entering.
I recommend that they be aware of their surroundings, particularly as they walk under the pedestrian way and in areas where repair work is actively underway. Beyond that, just to be patient with the process.
Reporting for FGTV, I'm Brian Robinson.
Thank you, Brian. Now, when we come back, we're going to hear more from that gentleman you just heard from, Facilities Program Manager Bill Mason, who's here to talk about those upgrades and repairs. So please stay with us. Welcome back to Fulton at Work. I'm Daryl Carver. A courthouse over 100 years old and a government center on the other side, more than 30 years old, eventually needs some attention. Now, joining us now to explain in greater detail what each building will receive is Facilities Program Manager Bill Mason. First of all, Mr. Mason, thank you for joining us here on Fulton at Work.
Thank you, Daryl. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, we saw in the piece in the break some exciting projects are planned for both the Justice Center complex and Government Center, thanks to the Urban Redevelopment Capital Improvement Program. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, both the Government Center and the Justice Center complex are beneficiaries of the Urban Redevelopment Capital Improvement Program and will benefit in terms of infrastructure improvements throughout the facility.
Let's start with the courthouse. It's more than a century old. So what kind of repairs will it receive?
Well, initially it would be a complete restoration of the exterior stone of the building, which includes work to the cornices and architectural elements at the top of the building, as well as the facade stone all the way around.
Why is there work needed for that exterior restoration?
Well, as you mentioned, the building is indeed over 100 years old, having opened in 1914. And buildings of this age typically require an extensive exterior restoration. Over the years, the elements, heat, cold, rain, as well as water infiltration, and just the natural settling of the building takes its toll on the facade materials.
Now, there's scaffolding that's already up over the sidewalks along both Pryor Street and MLK. both of those entrances to the courthouse. Why is that necessary, and why is there so much of that scaffolding?
Okay. The scaffolding is there for life safety purposes. Future phases of the project include mechanizing scaffolding that goes to the top of the building and a good bit of overhead work that create a dangerous situation down below.
And from what I understand, the scaffolding will be up during the duration of the entire restoration project. Will that courthouse entrance be open the whole time during that restoration?
Oh yes, the entrances and the fire exits on either side of the entrances will be open during the entire project.
And how long is that exterior restoration project expected to last?
It's to be determined. We have an engineering evaluation upcoming that will determine the extent of the repairs required and the duration of the project in order to complete those repairs. So we'll know more at that point.
Now, moving across the street to Fulton County Government Center, there are several issues, specifically the atrium roof. When it rains outside, sometimes there are leaks inside. What sort of repairs will the atrium roof receive?
Well, the atrium roof repairs are to make the atrium watertight. We'll see replacement of the rain gutters, the downspouts, the piping that runs throughout the atrium area, also resealing, recaulking of the elements, and some modifications of the atrium roof itself.
When you talk about the atrium, you're talking about one of the busiest parts of Fulton Government Center. There are also as a result, there are also a lot of events going on in that area throughout the weeks. Will those still be allowed to take place during the repairs?
Yes, our intention is to keep the atrium open and available for events, with the understanding that the scope or the size of the event, as well as the location within the atrium, may be affected because of the work overhead.
Now, I know this isn't the first work that's being done in Government Center. Prior to this, we had the work on the Tax Commissioner's office and Vital Records. Vital Records was completed back in May. Talk about some of those improvements, specifically Tax Commissioner's office and Vital Records.
Right. These interior improvements are actually not part of the Urban Redevelopment Capital Improvement Program, but occur in the county's normal course of business. As services change, these business units grow, they get smaller, they need to be relocated. And so you'll continually see these type of interior improvements over the next several years.
Now, the Prior Street and Peachtree entrance doors are also being replaced. Why are those repairs needed?
Well, these doors are original to the building and will be replaced. They have begun to fail, and parts for repair of them are becoming unavailable.
What should visitors and employees alike keep in mind as all of this work is going on?
Well, I think the first thing is to be aware of your surroundings, particularly when you're near a construction area. Also, obey all signage in areas that are affected by construction that may provide access to other locations. And the most important, I believe, is simply to be patient. This is a multi-phase project. Most of the projects are long-term in nature, and some are even disruptive. And so we ask for your patience with the hope that the results will generate a much more efficient and enjoyable workplace environment for both our patrons and employees.
You kind of took the words out of my mouth on that one. I guess the biggest thing is that end game, that end goal of what the buildings will be like once all this is done.
Absolutely. That's our objective.
Mr. Mason, great information. Thank you so much for joining us here on Fulton at Work.
My pleasure.
One other note to share with you, because of the courthouse scaffolding, the Fulton County Tax Commissioner has moved the tax sales to the Central Avenue side of the Fulton County Justice Center instead of on those courthouse steps. The tax sales auction is held on the first Tuesday of each month between the hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. A courtesy listing of properties up for sale is available in the Friday edition of the Fulton Daily Report. You can get more details on the Tax Commissioner's website. Now, when we come back, the mayor of Union City joins us to talk about his city's long-awaited community center coming to fruition. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Fulton at Work. I'm Daryl Carver. In July of 2017, the construction of a long-awaited community center commenced. Nearly a decade in the works, city officials and residents were so excited about the center that construction crews started working well before the groundbreaking ceremony even finished. Joining us now to talk more about this project is the mayor of Union City, Vince Williams. First of all, Mayor Williams, thank you for joining us here on Fulton at Work.
Well, thank you for having me.
So your city is preparing to build a new multi-use community center, and you've already officially broken ground with your city council. So first we'll talk to you about how all this came to be, and then we'll discuss the benefits for the citizens of that area. So first of all, how did it all get started?
Well, I'll tell you, this was a venture we embarked on several years ago, probably in 2008 or 9. And unfortunately, it was a venture that we wanted to utilize general fund money for. As many of you know, the economy shifted, and we had to scrap that project. But we knew that the citizens wanted and needed a facility. You know, we're one of the only cities that does not have a community center, but what's so important about this is that we have an enclosed gymnasium where our kids will be able to enjoy recreation at a new, next level, state-of-the-art facility.
Now tell us about the center itself and what your citizens can expect from it.
Well, I tell you, with this facility, and certainly I do want to share that this facility was something that our citizens voted to make sure that we did bring forth in Union City. This facility will not only encompass educational space in the building, it will also house, as I stated earlier, an enclosed gymnasium, much programming space, much needed programming space for educational training, senior participation, but also those types of rooms will be provided for nonprofits that may be interested to come into the city to provide some type of service for the community, if you will. So we're looking forward to partner with a lot of folks and to just have the facility that Union City deserves and has deserved over these many years. And with the seating of 250 people in our theater, that is going to give us an opportunity to do something that is absolutely monumental in Union City.
And from what we understand, this is a combination of both new and existing buildings. Break it all down for us, if you could. What old buildings are involved in this?
Well, one of the old buildings that we certainly wanted to make sure we made sure that we did not lose the historical value or charm is the old Union City Elementary School. And once you see that facility, that building or that structure is still going to be a part of this new community multi-use purpose facility in our city. We have a lot of, even some of our employees attended that elementary school over 20 to 30 years ago. The facility also housed the old Georgia Military College for a number of years before they relocated. But the beauty in maintaining the old structure not only allows for historical value and charm, but we are also able to retain and restore the old hardwood flooring in the building. So we're excited about that as well.
Now, in addition to those old buildings, what now about the new buildings that are involved in this project?
Well, the new buildings are going to certainly, as I shared with you, encompass the state-of-the-art gymnasium where we will have a full-size gymnasium where we can host tournaments, but also our young people will be able to practice whenever we need to practice. We no longer will be relegated to reaching out to some of the neighboring schools who would often deny us practice space, so we're excited about that. But also, we're going to have an outdoor area that if you want to have a beautiful outdoor wedding or an event, we will have an outdoor setting that you could do that. But we're going to have a number of rooms. We'll probably have anywhere from 10 to 12 educational type rooms, if you will. We'll have a board room where we can hold meetings, but also council meetings as well, move the council meetings to the community. So we're excited about what will take place in this new structure.
And what is the timeline for the entire project?
Well, the timeline right now, construction is now ongoing day by day, so we're excited about that as we talked about. So we can look to be cutting that ribbon in our new state-of-the-art facility May or June of 2018. So this is something that we're looking forward to, and certainly having a lot of our friends from all around South Fulton to come and join us and celebrate.
And Mr. Mayor, if you could share any final thoughts you have about this new community center.
Well, I would have to say my final thoughts in regards to this discussion is this truly shows you what collaboration is. We reached out to our citizenry to ask them, do you want this facility? And if you want this facility, you will have to vote to tax yourselves. So it shows you that people understand that when they have skin in the game, there is no limit to what can take place when we come together. So we're excited. I keep saying excited, and that is very, very heartfelt, because this, again, is the first time in Union City that we will have a facility to call our own, and we are just bubbling over with excitement for what will happen from this relationship with our citizenry, but also a lot of our local partners as well.
And Mayor Vince Williams, thank you for joining us here on Fulton at Work.
Well, I certainly thank you for allowing me this time to be able to share the excitement we have in Union City about our new multi-purpose community center. Thank you.
Now, in other Union City news, leading online and global fashion retailer ASOS is establishing an East Coast commerce fulfillment center in Union City. It will create 1,600 new jobs and invest more than $40 million in Fulton County through 2022. The new jobs at the fulfillment center will include positions in professional and operations management, basic operations, engineering, material handling, and administration. Now, in 2016, the Fulton County Board of Commissioners approved a 100% Freeport exemption for e-commerce fulfillment centers in Fulton County, one of the first counties in Georgia to do so, and the only county doing so in Metro Atlanta. It's great news indeed, and we'll be back to wrap up the show after this short break. That's all of our time. Thank you for joining us for Fulton at Work. And a very special thanks to our guests. Now, we want to connect with you online. Please check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm Daryl Carver, and we'll see you next time.